I'm very happy to welcome in a gentleman who is a big Trailblazer fan. He's also the president of First Response Security, which is real close by out in Beaverton. Ken Guffey is in studio. And Ken, the good thing is you learn real quick because you listen to the show from time to time. I got you a pair of headphones, but it's not Stacy Lynn's headphones from K103. Casey Bay, Beefwater from 105.9 The Brew. Great guys. Like, hey, just to keep you out of trouble, if you ever need to use headphones, you got a guest in, just come down to the Brew studio. There's plenty of them. So you got Beefwater's headphones on, so we're safe.
Nice. So you're learning quick.
Yes. Oh, man, we were just talking about the game. I was so excited, Ken, because the Blazers came out and started the third quarter really well, and they were down. They cut the deficit to 2, and I thought they're going to be right in it. And then all of a sudden the Spurs, 26-11 run, and it just took the wind out of the sails.
It did. You know, Denny was all game long seemed to be, doing exactly what Denny does.
Yeah.
But everybody else seemed to just be a step slower. And then, like you said, you kind of remember just how good San Antonio is.
Yeah, and Wembanyama, I don't know how you deal with someone like that. Think about it in our lifetime. We've had a chance to see some great athletes, but every once in a while there's someone that comes along that's just different. I haven't seen someone like Wemby at that size, 7'4", 7'5", who can handle the rock like a guard. He's a unique one.
He is. And it was funny because they, during the game they kept showing, Tim Duncan and David Robinson.
Yeah.
The epitome of big men.
Yes.
Especially David Robinson back in, my day when it was like, that's what a big man was, right?
Yeah.
Then you see somebody like Wemby and you're like, man, this guy is just next level.
Yeah, and what I was thinking about when I saw those two guys, and it was cool because they were both wearing the Spurs shirts that were handed out to the fans before the game. But I was wondering, like, how does a guy like Tim Duncan or David Robinson, who were terrific defenders, like, I wonder if they're thinking, like, how would I go about trying to slow down a guy like that, right?
Good point. Good point. I mean, DC was struggling all night with it, and even Tumani, everybody that they, switched onto him was struggling with it. Yeah, Duncan and Robinson, they're used to back to the basket, not somebody that big coming at them.
Now,
speed.
The consensus, Ken, on the show today has been that people want to see a little more physicality with Wembanyama, or the classic term has been bully ball. Do you think getting more physical with a guy who is a little bit lighter in his feet, like Wembanyama, might be a good thing to try in game 2?
I absolutely do.
Okay,
absolutely.
good.
I mean, you look at, in the All-Star game, obviously he was on the same side as Denny there, but during the All-Star game, he was, you could tell, trying too hard. And I think the only way to get him uncomfortable is when he feels like he has to try too hard.
Yeah.
And so, getting physical with him, trying to, not give him that space rather than letting him, operate with a little bit of cushion, I think is the only way you're going to try to stop him.
And I would think, too, at least my thought would be, I don't know if they'll get the win tomorrow, but my guess is for a lot of the young guys or the entire Blazer team that getting their first taste of a playoff atmosphere like that, they'll probably play better. They'll be more prepared for the atmosphere tomorrow night.
Yeah, I agree. They were struggling from, deep, and very rarely does Portland do that, 2 games in a row where they're really struggling. Tumani just didn't look like he felt all that comfortable. Scoot certainly did from time to time.
Yeah.
DC didn't. Even Drew, was kind of a little bit off his game, but you won't have 2 games in a row. I feel like tomorrow night you're going to see a little bit more of okay, we've been here, we've done that, now let's just get the job done.
But I think you're right about Denny. Watching him play and how productive he was against a great defense, like, I just walk away from that game. I think even more about him. Like, he really is a one, like a superstar.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah, he was. It's funny because all season long, you're sitting there as a Blazer fan, right? You're like, well, to us, this guy seems pretty special. Yeah. But you're like, how does the rest of the league take him?
Yeah.
And then when you watch him on that stage, it's like, okay, he answered that question.
Yeah, and I think it was, who was it? It was LeBron, and it might have been Steve Nash, but it was LeBron and someone. They were talking about Denny earlier in the year, and when I heard other greats give respect and props to him, like, okay, they're starting to take notice. But you're right, it's great for him to get on that stage because now the rest of the NBA can see, like, wow, Denny obviously something special.
Yeah.
I love your story. Ken and I had a chance to meet a few weeks ago. You're the president out at First Response Security and now a partner with the station, which is great. But I love your story because of where you came from. So you're the president of First Response, but your background is in law enforcement. So kind of give me a breakdown. You grew up here in Oregon too, right?
I did. I grew up on the southern Oregon coast of Coos Bay.
Yes.
Yeah. So my background, law enforcement, corrections, kind of fell into, both the physical security and the electronic security world. Um, you know, starting getting into business and really kind of understanding business a little bit in the security world. And then, fell into electronic security.
How would you define electronic security?
So electronic security, there's four major disciplines of electronic security. You have access control, you have intrusion systems, or, what people think of when they think of traditional like burglar alarms, right? You have fire systems, and then you have camera systems. So those are the four main disciplines of electronic security. So I kind of fell into that world. And then a number of years back, about 6 years ago, was recruited to First Response Security. Originally came in as a vice president there. Had done project management and operational management with other companies. And what's great about First Response is it gave me the opportunity to really kind of tie all of my background together. The electronic security world, the project management, the operational management, along with the physical security, law enforcement, corrections, all of that background. We're the only company in the Northwest that can install a system, monitor a system, and respond to a system.
That's terrific. And then with the electronic background, did you have a background in electronics and understanding some of the new technology, or did you learn on the fly?
I kind of learned on the fly. I've always been a bit of a tech guy.
Yeah.
I love technology, love kind of geeking out over it a little bit. And so, I learned on the fly, understood, general concepts of it. And it's just been something over the years that I've just really gravitated towards.
And the cool thing about First Response is you were telling me, when you had the opportunity to work there, family-owned business since, late 80s?
1989.
1989, so family-owned business, which was appealing to you. And then when you got in and had a chance to see their operation about how they dealt with their people, how they treated their employees, the philanthropy work and what they did in the community, all these things were appealing to you in terms of what your morals were or what you were looking for, and you knew that you were going to surround yourself with good people.
Absolutely, absolutely. We one thing that we really pride ourselves on at First Response is, making decisions based on our core values. Those core values like integrity, like client focus, like consistent excellence, like growth mindset. Those types of things they're the decisions that we make our hiring and firing from. They're the decisions that we make when we talk about what the ideal client is. Our whole goal is to be a partner with our clients, not just a transaction, right? So we're built off of that relationship and built off of that ongoing trust, whether that's guard services, whether that's the electronic security side, or even just the monitoring side.
That's terrific. And then the one thing you told me that really stuck out to me that separates First Response from everyone else is there are three main, keys or pillars to your business, and that is installation of the security system, both residential or commercial, monitoring, which is critical, but then also the most important thing is response time. So I think it's important that you break those down, but installation, monitoring, and then the response time, which is critical for what you guys are able to offer. Yeah,
absolutely. So on the installation side, again, we have highly trained technicians. In the state of Oregon, you have to be a low voltage licensed electrician. So a little different than, high voltage, but you have to be, go through a trade school, go through the apprenticeship program, be a LEA licensed electrician. So those guys and gals are highly qualified installing a system for a client. And then the biggest advantage is we don't just install it and walk away. That monitoring center in the middle, we know what that looks like at 2:00 in the morning. We know what happens when that alarm comes in. It's not just, hey, we sold you a system, best of luck, and, hope it works well.
Yeah.
We actually know and can work with our clients, what happens when that signal comes in. So our monitoring center is 24/7, 365. We're always there and available. We do, video monitoring, fire monitoring, access control, and intrusion monitoring. And then to your point, what happens when that alarm actually goes off and that operator gets that signal and sends that signal to an officer is that response. And this is no knock on PD. Again, former law enforcement myself, they have big things going on. You don't have to look around Portland very often to kind of see they've got their hands full.
And they're going to prioritize based on what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And an unverified alarm is not a high priority because a motion sensor can go off for who knows what reason, right?
Yeah.
So the ability to have our own officers be able to respond to that alarm within, minutes. We track everything from a second that alarm comes in to the second that operator, takes action, dispatches the officer to when that officer goes en route. All of those things contribute to a very fast response time. And again, it's our officers that we're holding accountable when they get there. So it's not just relying on someone else.
And in your response team, if they get there and there's something serious going on, that's where you can have a quick response from the police if they need to be brought into the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, when it's a verified alarm, now all of a sudden that's a priority one. That is a much more important alarm. That's an actual crime in progress.
That's great. That's awesome. So response time is critical because, again, sometimes it's minor, but if it is a serious situation, just knowing you're going to get the quick response, because that's the difference between solving the issue or having a bigger problem on your hands, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially if it's, even if, let's say a smash and grab, right? Somebody busts out a front window, even having that quick response time to where, even if the folks that caused the issue are already gone.
Yeah.
Even having someone stand post, stay there until, contacting the emergency contact, staying there until the property owner, the business owner, whatever the case is, can show up or, say, hey, I've got facilities en route or maintenance en route. Even that customer service aspect of being able to make sure, again, that goes back to that partnership.
That's great. Now, with first response, I know the majority of your business is commercial. So give me an example of like what type of businesses. I would imagine it's all sorts, but like, what are some of the types of businesses that you protect?
Yeah, so it is all sorts. Again, our ideal client is someone that's looking for a partnership, a long-term, partnership. One of the things that we really stress on is our lifetime value. How long has a client been, our partner? And we have some that you go back to 1989 for. But an ideal client is someone that, values a Northwest company, values a family-owned company, has the same kind of core values that we do. And in a perfect world, it's somebody that needs all three of our services, right? The access control or the electronic security, the physical security, as well as that monitoring piece. We have a lot of clients that, when we come aboard and we start that relationship, either immediately or rather through time, we end up being that one-stop shop for them. There's some clients that we maybe replaced 27 different vendors because of the plethora of things that we have to offer.
Now, the majority of commercial spots, are you like, it's property protection? Like it could be like a lumber store that's got to protect their stockpile or whatever the case may be. It's usually like property, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and again, it kind of depends a little bit on, which side of the business you're talking. From the patrol side, it's everything from property management companies, multifamily, housing, shopping centers, et cetera. On the electronic security side, it's really anybody that needs access control, cameras, an intrusion system, a fire system. And again, where we really shine is that partnership that needs all of them.
That's great. So where did you learn, like, I'm always curious about this, like with your management style, like, because you learned on the fly too, but like, how did you develop that over the course of time? Because how many employees do you have now over at First Response?
Almost 200.
Gosh,
so
that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yep. With all three.
Is it challenging to operate when you have so many people that you're in charge of?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'll answer it this way too, because this kind of goes back to your original question of how did I learn? When people ask me, well, what do you do for, a living? I say, well, I'm in the security industry. And they're like, well, what's that mean?
Because when you say it, I think like security guard.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It means we solve problems. Every person within our company, whether it be that officer standing post, whether it be that operator at, in the middle of the night, whether it be that technician that's going out there to install, or like myself in management or our HR department or whatever, what we do every single day is solve problems. Now, what those problems look like, whether it's people struggles, employee struggles, client struggles, whether it's technology, whether it's, you name it. What I love about the security industry is every day is a different challenge, and we offer solutions to our clients in those challenges.
Yeah, and I would imagine, too, that if you have a business and you've got First Response protecting everything you just talked about, in the long run, by having the proper security, you're gonna save money because you're gonna take less loss. Correct?
Absolutely. Nothing is worse than, when we have a conversation with someone and they're like, yeah, well, we're thinking about it. And then all of a sudden they contact you, a week, 2 weeks, a month later and be like, man, I wish we would have pulled the trigger sooner. So,
Yeah. Well, that's great. First Response Security. Now, if you want to check them out online, you can do so. And I'll also give you the telephone number. But Ken and his crew, it's a terrific operation. The website is fr-inc.com. 503-207-5300 is the telephone number. And I guess for people who, and this is great too, because you guys can walk them through it. But if someone's listening and they're like, man, this sounds interesting, you can walk them through from step one all the way to the end in terms of all the details.
oh, absolutely.
Because you probably get a lot of people who come in and say, I know I need security, but they don't even understand exactly what you offer.
Yeah, exactly. You get people that are saying, hey, I think, I need access control. And then you start down that road and find out that, or they say, hey, I need a security officer. And then you find out that, well, actually this problem might be solved better with, X, Y, and Z. So, one of the big things that we do is I explained it this way. The reason that we have so many things to offer is it's like a toolbox. If all you have in your toolbox is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. What makes us so different is we got a toolbox full of tools, and so we find the right solution for the client.
Yeah, that's terrific. All right, Ken Guffey's in studio. You got time to hang out a few more minutes?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so we'll come back. We'll talk a little more Blazers, and also, can you talk about some of the technology that's coming your way?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, I want to talk about that too because it's fascinating. All right, first quarter at Maeve, third quarter in Cleveland, and the Knicks have a 10-point lead. First quarter at Madison. Third quarter in Cleveland, and the Knicks have a 10-point lead. First quarter at Madison Square Garden, 26-16 over the Hawks. Timberwolves and Nuggets coming up at 7:30. Blazers tip off tomorrow at 5. Game day with Chris Burkhardt at 3 here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, Ken Guffey, president of technology, like AI and all the different things that we have access to now, which is pretty remarkable. Technology, like AI and all the different things that we have access to now, which is pretty remarkable. But technology is coming into the security business. So tell me about some of the stuff that's on the horizon that you've been looking at.
Sure. Yeah. So you mentioned AI. One of the biggest things, obviously, is camera analytics.
Yeah.
Right. Installing cameras now, they have advanced analytics on them. Can tell the difference between a person in a car versus a dog or raindrop.
Yeah.
So having that ability, obviously, mitigates a lot of false alarms. And then, it's one of our services that we offer is that proactive video monitoring, because be able to take a camera system and make it, solution-oriented and proactive versus just coming in the next day and finding out you had a bunch of issues the night before.
Yeah.
So, that's with layered analytics and just that software ability.
Yeah, that's great. And then what about some of the robotics that are coming in?
Yeah, so I knew you were going to go there. I gave you a teaser a couple weeks ago. First response, we are actually going with sign an agreement, partner with a company to allow for autonomous patrol units, is what they're called. So obviously not in an attempt to replace a person, but rather augment and add in addition to what a physical security officer can do.
Yeah, and the example you gave me worked perfect in my mind, but you're like, let's say we have a golf course, right? And there's an issue out on a certain hole that you can send that unit out and it can get real-time video of exactly what's taking place.
Yeah, exactly. This thing has, 7 different cameras and patrols on its own, completely autonomous. But when something happens, it sends an alert. And again, what we're so unique about is the fact that we have that monitoring center that can get that alert in real time, see if they need to take action, sound the alarms, talk through the unit if need be, and then send our officers. So it's not just something that's going around, yelling at something. It's actually real people on the other end that are taking action with it.
Gosh, that's so awesome. So the video that you would get from the autonomous unit would go right into your monitoring.
Yep,
station.
Right into our central station. Operators there would be able to analyze it and say, hey, what do I need to do, right? Is this Miss Jones just walking her dog through the golf course? Or is this somebody that's, has nefarious intentions?
That's great. That's awesome. That's got to be pretty exciting for you. I mean, because you're using technology as a way to just continue to improve your operation.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said before, it's about having the right tools. And it's about saying, hey, if rather than just trying to sell a client something, it's taking the client's information and saying, how do we truly solve this problem for you?
Yeah.
It's that partnership and saying, hey, sometimes, maybe it's a budgetary thing where a physical officer isn't going to be within that budget. So something like the autonomous patrol unit with the operator and with that alarm response makes all the difference.
Gosh, that's awesome. Ken Guffey's in studio. So what era of Blazer basketball got you hooked? Was it the Clyde era?
It was. It was definitely the Clyde era. So I went to, little tidbit, I went to Rick Adelman's Blazers Hoop Heaven back in the day.
Yeah.
R.J. Adelman, rest in peace. R.J. Adelman was my coach back then at this camp. It was at Lewis and Clark College. I got Defensive Player of the Week. I stopped growing height-wise after that. But, so I Clyde.
But that's a good honor
Porter,
because that means you were working your tail off.
I certainly was. But man, Duckworth, Drexler, Cliff Robinson.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, gee.
Like 14, 15?
I want to say like 12, maybe 11,
You must
12.
have been in hog heaven. Then.
Yeah. So it was, I remember going, this is good old little town of Coos Bay. I remember going to the Dairy Queen and getting the glasses.
Yeah.
I have all the old school Blazer glasses.
Love it.
And then followed the team ever since then, through the Jailblazer, through the, Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells and all those guys up until, I was a huge Arvydas Sabonis fan.
Yeah.
Man,
He's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I wish we would have gotten that guy about, 10 years younger.
Yeah.
But
that would have brought a championship.
Absolutely.
When I first saw him play, when I went to Moda Center or Rose Garden at the time and saw him for the first time, like I had never seen a big man handle the basketball the way he did.
Yeah, his passing was elite. His passing was elite. His vision was elite. And then his defensive skills, the ability to use that big frame to kind of push people out of the paint.
Yeah.
Kind of establish like the dominance down low. Outside of Shaq, I don't know that there was anybody else that could do that in that time period.
Well, Chris and I were just talking about it. Like we always thought that Sabonis, he gave Shaq the best run for his money that he could. Right?
Agreed. 100%.
Not all the time, but he was physical with him.
He was, and he had I think the good testament to a good big man, especially in that era, was having a strong base. And he could. There was no pushing him out of the way.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I was exposed during the same era, and early on after I moved out here, I met Jerome Kersey. I was probably like 14 at the time, but I was out at PIR. I used to have this $5 an hour job for one day a week on Wednesdays. I'd go down with my buddy Jason, and that was open track night, so guys would bring out their souped up like escorts and stuff and rip it around the track, and we would hand the time slips would print out at this printer at the base of the tower there at PIR, and we'd tear it off and hand it to the drivers. And I looked up and I was like, dude, who's that guy? I said, I think that's Jerome Kersey. And Jason's like, no way. And so he goes, you got to get his autograph. And so I ripped off a piece of legal pad and walked over to him. And sure enough, it was Jerome. And he signed it for me. And I still got the autograph to this day. But like, same thing as you being at the camp. It's like, when you saw those guys back then, as a kid, it's like they're larger than life.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I was a big, I tell you what, probably the biggest, as a Blazer fan, one of the biggest what ifs, Greg Oden staying healthy, B. Roy staying healthy, LaMarcus staying here in Portland. I think that would have been outside of the championship team, outside of, Arvidas, that was the best, time of Portland basketball up until recent.
Gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And so I like all the eras because the Jailblaze era, they almost won a championship.
Yep.
Clyde and Terry and Jerome were great, and they had a couple of trips to the finals. And then B. Roy, who brought us out of the darkness of the Jailblazer era, for a short burst, he was sensational.
He was. I mean, obviously, he got his nickname The Natural for a reason. That guy could do anything and everything that he wanted on the floor.
I just wish that I would have been alive because I was only 2 years old. I just wish that I have to live vicariously for everyone else who celebrated the 77 title because I'm not old enough, man. Yeah. I hate that.
Nor was I. But, but I'll tell you what, I think in our lifetime we'll get another one. So
I hope so, man. Well, I say you and I probably have a good, 30, 40 plus years on the planet left. So maybe in that time, I just want one. I'm not greedy like some other fan bases, man. Just give me one. All right, Ken. Hey, thanks for coming by.
Absolutely.
And appreciate your partnership. And I'm looking forward to getting a chance to spend more time with you again. Security, go to FR-Security. You got to check them out. First Response Security, go to FR-INC.com, or you can give them a call at 503-207-5300. Ken Guffey, the president, is in studio hanging out with me today. Ken, great talking with you, my friend.
You too, Chad.
And hey, you're going to the game on Friday.
Awesome.
Is that the game 3?
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Right. You're pumped for that, aren't you?
I am.